Hello, everybody.
Hey everyone.
We're back, and this is part 4 of overeating. This week, I've got Ollie with me, and we'll be covering some of the cultural reasons that contribute to people overeating. Ollie, run us through some of the common cultural reasons, especially in New Zealand, why people end up overeating.
There's a couple ways you can overeat because of your culture. One is there's celebrations or festivals or things where you eat certain food, eat a lot of food. Christmas is one example. That's one kind of way you can overeat. There's just so much food and you just eat and you're not really paying attention to how much you eat.
Yeah.
That's not a good one. Another one is culturally within your family, so you might you might have certain meals you eat as a family every week, maybe even every night, and that can really they can be high calorie foods, like breads and things like that. That's another way.
So Ollie, let's drill into this a little bit. So for our Muslim friends listening to this, Eid is looming up, and this is a massive cultural occasion all over the world. This is definitely an occasion where it's quite understandable that someone could eat mindlessly. To the listener out there, what are some of the strategies for an occasion like this that they can avoid overeating?
I'd say the first thing is track everything you eat. I know it's hard to say no to food sometimes, and culturally. Just track everything you eat the best you can. So if you have some sweets, say, yep, I ate about this many sweets. The better you track it, the better. The more specific you are with your tracking, the better. And then the next day, if you weigh yourself and I ate all this, hopefully, it's okay once in a while to eat like that and go up in weight. There's nothing wrong with that. It's if you've tracked it, you'll know, okay, I ate this, and then when celebrations are over, you go back to the way you normally eat, then you'll know, oh, I've eaten all this over the last week or so, I will cut back on those kind of things.
If I could just pause you there. So the really important thing here is that what you're saying is one day in the bigger picture of things will not make a huge difference as long as it doesn't become an unreasonable level of overeating.
It's alright to eat like that once in a while. I mean, you've got to treat yourself sometimes. Do that and enjoy the food, enjoy the time.
And I mean, because I guess the other thing that really comes into play here is, and if we talk about Eid, right? You're going to someone's house, someone's invited you because it's this massive cultural occasion. It's actually considered a little bit rude to go to someone's house and they've prepared all this food and to not eat, right? So it may be a case where, within reason, there isn't much choice for someone who's in a situation like this, because culturally it's offensive, right? To say no to food. So I guess what you're saying is, if it's a one-off occasion, it may be okay. All right. Let's. You mentioned Christmas earlier. Let's look at Christmas, because one of the things that people quite often say to me around mid-January is everything was going really well, and then Christmas, New Year's, barbecues, and now my weight's back. So on one side, we've said if it's a one-off occasion, it's okay. But especially in New Zealand, and I've got family in the States, and Thanksgiving is sort of another occasion like this where you kind of have a bunch of things that fall in close succession. And what is one day of overeating can quickly become 2 days, an extended period. What are some of the strategies here?
I think first of all you got to think about this celebration. Why are you eating? Is it because you're eating, or is it because it's like end of the year, you're with your family, spending time with them? So just kind of keep that in mind and know you don't have to kind of eat and go crazy. Tracking is another thing. Like you can have, why not have the smaller portions? So like you have your chicken or whatever, you have quite a lot of vegetables, and like some carb things like potatoes and stuff as well. Have a bit of everything. Enjoy the time with your family or friends or your colleagues at work, and then it's all you're enjoying some food and you're enjoying the time.
And I think as basic as it may sound, I really like the idea of tracking. It doesn't have to be an OCD type tracking. It could just be simply writing down everything that someone's been eating through the day, in a little food diary. Because I think the benefit of doing that, especially over an extended period of time, is it's making the person more mindful. And I think, all the topics that we've looked at, so we've looked at the social factors, we've looked at the emotional reasons for overeating, and now we're looking at the cultural reasons. I think the common thing with all of these factors is the mindlessness, right? And I think tracking is something that could really help, because it kind of brings the person back into a state where they're actually thinking about what they're doing, and it's not like, you're in this sort of frenzy where you're just eating everything in sight without thinking about it. So, what about strategies like drinking more water and trying to get a bit of protein in before sort of the events kick off? Do you find those strategies to be helpful?
With water, definitely drinking water is helpful. The more water you drink, the better, really. So. Definitely do that before the meal. If you go for the vegetables first as well, like the salad, start eating that before you start eating the meats and potatoes and stuff like that, and bread. That's a good idea too. And protein is good too. So that's kind of what keeps you full.
Absolutely.
So you definitely have the meats and stuff.
The only other thing I'd like to add is, on these cultural occasions, the people that we help out, we encourage them to weigh themselves multiple times. One of the things I would say to people is to spare themselves the punishment of weighing themselves immediately the next day, because weight will go up, right? And a lot of times that can send people into a spiral. So I think it's best to just accept that you've had a day where you've been eating different things, you've been eating things that may be high in sodium, high in sugar, high in fat, and your weight will go up, but it's okay. Because after 3 or 4 days, it'll come back down again. We've just had something similar the weekend just gone, where I was away with a family, and I was a certain weight on the Saturday before we went away. After 3 days away, my weight was almost 3 kgs over what it was. But 3 or 4 days of more consistent eating, and it's back to where it was. And I didn't bother weighing myself. I was just like, it's going to go up, and it's after a while, it's sort of, you just accept that it'll go up and it'll come back down. And I think for some of our friends out there, this is really something worth emphasizing, that one day, as long as it's reasonable, will not make a huge difference in the bigger scheme of things. And even if your weight is going up for that one day, it will definitely come back down.
Yeah. There's days where you lose weight, there's days where you gain weight. As long as you're kind of consistent most days, then that most days your weight will go down. That's if that's what you want in the long term. So, I wouldn't worry about that. Weighing yourself, it's up to you really if you want to. But I think tracking what you eat on a regular basis is probably the best thing you can do. And use that with weighing yourself as well to see how what you eat affects your weight.
Yeah. There we have it, guys. That's a lovely thought to close off on. We will wrap this series up next week. So we've covered the social reasons for overeating, we've covered some of the emotional reasons, cultural reasons in this video, and it's the big wrap up next week. Keep hitting that like button, keep subscribing, keep hitting us with your questions. We've had some excellent questions come up all the way through this series, and these questions have basically helped shape the content of the following videos. So thank you so much, guys. Stay tuned, and we will see you next week.
See you.